Hey folks, how you all doing? This is Over coming to you with another episode of Company of Heroes 2 Fight Night. And today on the map Lost Collider we have the Wehrmacht forces of Sober facing up against the Soviet forces of LaDin. Not entirely sure if that's, his first name is Al, but hey, whatever, let's get to it anyway. While everyone is kind of setting themselves up, excuse me. Let us quickly go through the commanders on both sides. So for Sober, we have ourselves Mobile Defense Doctrine, and German Mechanized Doctrine, and Lightning War Doctrine. So pretty much every single one of these opportunities looking for a command tank or a really, like let's say, MVP Tiger. Meanwhile, for LaDin, we have Shock Rifle Frontline Tactics, we have NKVD Rifle Disruption, and we have Soviet Reserves, which gives us the Partisan Tank Hunters as well as that rapid conscription for when they lose their troops early on.
We have a fresh Grenadier squad.
While we see the Germans and Soviets both beefing up their forces a little bit, I might say, as I pull the strategic map, that I have to make a quick apology to Lucas Dawson. Lucas, you actually told me to check out a particular replay, and unfortunately I was not able to do that. I pulled that up, and instead I found out that Relic decided to patch the game. And that amazing game you were telling me about, unfortunately, I cannot take a look at. So I apologize for that. If you see anything else, please let me know. I am more than happy to check that out and make that right. Other good news, actually, as these guys continue to kind of cap out the East and West, make this pretty much a very blue versus red map, looking for a 50-50. My computer, my system, is going to be upgraded within the next 2 or 3 weeks. So keep an eye on for that, and seeing a very gorgeous upgrade to these graphics, which by themselves are just glorious already. So instead of this kind of mishmash of textures, we can see a bright, sharp. I kind of wonder if I can even get to the point where I can see the inscriptions on the tombstones. Either way, let's get back to the game right now. So, Sober, like I said, is moving out to the western part of this map. He's got the Pioneers capping this left VP. He's already picked up the fuel, as has the Soviet player. But we do see the Soviet player looking more for a 60-40 split for the map. The German player does kind of have this decent house, was garrisoned for a little bit of time. It would have been a great idea had the Soviets decided to push that side of the map. But with the Soviets now in the God House, God Church, more than anything else, and that's kind of a double pun on there if you get my drift. It's going to be very difficult for those Germans to actually get any kind of value with that machine gun in the center point of the map. Even more confusing to me right now is the fact that the Soviets have already kind of cut off these poor German forces over here, even though the forces of the Wehrmacht forces are actually capping out. Oh no, never mind. That strategic point is going rapidly to the Germans, so this munitions point might actually be worthwhile moving forward. I will say also that we do see that the Soviet Reserve Army has been called in for LaDin, which means that we're probably going to see a fair amount of those partisan tank hunters, which are just oh so much fun whenever you are in fact the German player. As you can also see up here too, we do see the Soviet weapons company coming down, so we have machine guns as well as that mortar squad, and it looks like a machine gun's going to come out pretty early on, and Maxim to kind of give those Soviet forces a little more firepower. And although the Pioneers have been able to kind of cap up the cutoff point as well, the Soviet forces have already kind of gained everything else that they really need to, so there's really not a big what's the term I'm looking for? It's not a whole lot of point for the German tenacious defense on these buildings. Add in the fact that we do see, two squads of conscripts as well as this squad of combat engineers, and I do imagine that these German pioneers are going to be forced away pretty quickly. Already dropping a model, and oh good lord, how did I miss this squad over here? Getting wrecked. My guess is probably inside that little bit of a incendiary grenade going on over here. But at the same time, I'm surprised to see that Sober has not actually capped out this fuel point, or at least neutralized it, because that's definitely going to cause a lot of issues for the Soviet player, for the Wehrmacht player moving forward. But anyway, let's get back to it. So those pioneers have been evicted, but at the same time, we do see the Soviet forces have decided to move into that delicate embrace of the MG42 over here in this western house. Wisely, the machine gun does decide to back away, what with the opportunity, let's say, of Molotov cocktails coming out of those German, the Soviet players. But yes, as the map kind of moves towards a homeostatic kind of thing for a second, we do see caps coming right back out, and this Maxim over here is suppressing and forcing those Grenadiers to retreat. I will say I'm surprised this opening breakout has gone completely and totally in the Sober's favor, 498 to 475 with a 2-to-1 cap advantage, 2-to-0 cap advantage. But that may not last. with the way that those excuse me, those German forces are pretty much all fallen back. We're not quite a mass retreat, but we do see, even with where's this one machine gun? We've got 2 machine guns on the field. We got, oh wow, yeah, with the German players kind of moving that back right now, it gives the opportunity for the Soviet players, you can see, to kind of recap the map again.
Enemy is attempting to steal our sector.
But yes, at the same time, those Soviet players have successfully capped out the fuel point on the western point at the western side of the map, and it looks like they're going to pick up that eastern one as well, and take a big, massive fuel advantage. Even as Sober does tech up to Tier 1. That being said, I'm not sure I see a whole lot of utility immediately, and it's not like there's going to be a whole lot going on for that German player, even though he definitely has put up his mechanized company. However, I'm not so sure. Are we going to see a squad drop here? Conscripts going to... Oh, when the conscripts do go down, even as that Grenadier squad does back away. And as well as that 4 conscript and machine gun opening was going, we do see the Germans themselves are kind of taking back the map with a couple of S minefields as well. It'd be interesting to see how the Soviets are able to kind of come back. Unfortunately for Sober, he does not know, by the way, that LaDin has already picked up that Soviet reserve army. So he's calling out in 222, which is basically playing right into those those partisans. Although I do really like this adaptation, kind of putting these S minefields around everything. Hopefully he can move away in time as these squads kind of retreat. I would find that very amusing to find those Soviets run right back to this minefield. Probably would kill the entire squad. But yes, as we do see troops kind of moving back here to the west, as well as those Soviet forces working out one by one. The Germans have managed to secure a bulge right through the center of the map, as this 222 looks to expand that territory grab a little bit more. And as the 222 reasserts itself, we might see, I'm guessing, maybe even partisans coming out of this building for a quick, double shot onto the back of this 222, and probably going to force that away. Probably within the next minute or so, but oh, never mind. We do see the losses for the Soviets have forced them to kind of go further and further away from those tank hunters. I said depending on that 1910 Maxim to kind of do the duty for them. But all right. Surprisingly enough, I do not see this eastern VP getting picked up as probably where these conscripts are going right now. But even as that happens, this western VP is going to go right back to the Germans, and it comes up to 488 to 456, and it's going to be at least a 2-to-1 cap, if nothing else. And for some reason, actually, we do see that these Pios are just retreating out of there. Even more so, we're going to see these Grenadiers kind of probably at least drop a model, if not more so. Although we do hear that Maxim down to the south, definitely shouting quite a bit at these poor squad of Grenadiers who are trying to cap out the strategic point. Luckily for them, the 222 is still here, and as we do see some Teller mines going to go down this western road right over here in this area, this 222 does assert itself, but it's going to take, a nice little damaged engine from those AT grenades for the Soviets. Well, let's go take a quick look to see where we are at the state of things right back in the base here. So we do see a battalion command coming out for the Soviets pretty quickly. And not the fastest I've seen, but at the same time, a sub-9 minute isn't too bad, considering the kind of pressure they've been exerting on the map. At the same time, they definitely need a little bit more firepower from, let's say, their higher tier forces. This MG42 placed in the middle of the map, as well as this mortar that's been coming out as well, is going to cause hell for these conscripts. As much as I want to be just on top of this kind of play, and finally actually moving that, not so much flanking squad up, but being able to force that MG into retreating, was a pretty good, it was a small win, not a huge win, but a pretty small win, but at the same time it's still a verifiable win for our Soviet player. Unluckily for them at the same time, this mortar continues to rain holy hell upon the church. Again, no pun intended, just sort of came out that way. And has it got any kills yet? We got 2 kills on it already. About a quarter of the way to veterancy, as we do see a medic station kind of go up for the German player. Excuse me. At the same time, we do see the medics have been called in for LaDin, which is not a bad investment at all, considering the kind of way that models have been traded back and forth here. And surprisingly enough, this map kind of has fallen back into an uneasy silence for just a minute or two as this 222 gets repaired, and we do see a big push of conscripts coming down this eastern road. I do have to say, I kind of wonder if this is a Soviet glider or what faction that might be, but we can't take a quick look at that as that Maxim forces back that Grenadiers again on this eastern side. And I have to admit, I'm a little bit surprised that this mortar has not been called to concentrate its firepower on this eastern blockhouse. Because that thing right now is definitely dominating the map, and with both buildings not being caught up, or definitely pretty much easily concentrated, we will see a lot more losses coming through for the German player. Nevertheless, that Flammenwerfer is going to cause a lot of issues for those Soviets, which is definitely why they can see that incendiary grenade going through. And with those Pioneers coming out, we do see the first Tank Hunter Partisans being called in, but they're taking massive amounts of fire. Good lord, they almost have a sliver of health that's left already, and they're going to escape, but good lord, they're going to take quite a bit of time to actually kind of retreat and kind of heal up a bit. At the same time, those Pioneers probably should back off themselves. They are not looking too healthy either. There we go, and they get kind of called away. At the same time, we see Grenadiers kind of coming in, maybe trying to look to push away this conscript squad. Let me turn down the volume still a wee bit. Looking to push away these conscript squads to this western house, but at the same time, this Maxim coming up is going to put these guys into a pin pretty darn quick. And as much as I bet that 222 wants to get involved, it's not going to be too easy for them. However, the addition of a MG42 over here will be much better for those Germans should that thing redeploy over here to the eastern face of this house. Nevertheless, regardless of which way it faces necessarily, it does control a large area of this map. It's probably a pretty good call to kind of be dealing with. At the same time, we do see that Sober has teched up to Tier 2, calling a support armor core and calling in himself a Pack 40 gun. And even as I say that, that mortar continues to rain a ton of fire on the Soviet forces in the middle. So while the cap is currently 2-1 in favor of the Soviets, 482 to 417, the Germans themselves are definitely coming back with a vengeance in this game. I am surprised, maybe not too much, but I am surprised to see this 222 has been very, very sedentary is the wrong word to use for it, but he hasn't been so much static. But at the same time, he could have been a heck of a lot more mobile than what he's been. He could definitely be forcing away these guys way more than he is, and I'm a little bit disappointed to see as much of a reserve as he could have been. But yes, even as I say that, now of course we do see the PPS coming out because of that conscript assault package for the Soviet reserves. So that Soviet short-range firepower is going to be insane. Insane, I tell you. Which is definitely needed considering the fact that the way the map is looking right now, we do see LaDin on his back heal, even though the Germans historically in Company of Heroes 2 are a little bit weaker in the early game, especially against Soviet forces with their ability to kind of mob the field. But yes, so where does that leave us right now? That leaves us with a cutoff munitions point up here to the north, and a dangerously exposed supply line over here to the east. This fuel line, if it kind of gets cut off, that could be very uncomfortable for... never mind, it's not going to happen. I was going to say for that Soviet player. But luckily for them, we do see a retreat, a necessary retreat, even as a T-80 kind of comes out. T-70, I'm sorry, excuse me. T-80 is a wrong decade altogether. But again, as that kind of happens, you see the big push in the Soviets from the eastern side might be able to force away this single squad of Pioneers by Sober in this house. Whew. So yes, where does that leave us? This leaves us over here in the west with the support 222 showing its obsolescence already, as well as these conscripts capping up this western VP, and the Soviets again threatening this eastern VP. So while we do see an excellently placed machine gun back here to kind of cover the center part of this map, I might have been more happy to see the machine gun up here to kind of put a little bit of harassing fire, at least maybe perhaps in this T-80. Not so much, but that unfortunately for him, that T-80 comes in with a vengeance and picks off a Grenadier squad pretty early on, and I'm pretty sure that was one of the only Panzerschrecks he even had in the field. So not too great for him. And unfortunately, that Pioneer, again, just not really doing anything but taking stupid pills, running around in a circle and getting another squad drop for Sober. So he's losing 2 squads in as many minutes as the Soviets start to take the field. And not just a little bit, just completely dominating the field right now. However, the Pack 40 is setting up and is going to just really punish that T-80 with one shot. Oh no, never mind, does not get set up in time. Instead, we do see, probably going to get forced away by this PPS. It may even get a ton of damage. Oh, nope, but instead, don't worry, we have that MG42 raining armor-piercing rounds on those conscripts and definitely driving them away. Maybe even picking them up. Maybe even picking them up. Do we see it? Do we see it pick up? Do we see it pick up? No, we do not. And instead we see this Pack 40 kind of centering around to the center part of this map to kind of pick on that T-70 again. But it is not an opportunity seen, unfortunately, for them. Nevertheless, even as the Soviets are calling it a mortar, we do see that this wave of firepower has been pushing back the Germans way too much back to the south. And we do see that that T-80 has been picked up by that Pack 40. Oh, good lord, where's that wreck, though? Where's the wreck? Oh, no, it wasn't. It was that teller mine that got placed way before. So that teller mine paying dividends in the form of a several dozen-ton tank. Whew. But where are we now? So PM-41 coming out for the Soviets, definitely giving a little bit more indirect firepower, which I think they do need. Definitely a great opportunity, too, with a lot of shot blockers right now, and only a 2-2-2 on the field for the Germans. Could definitely give it an opportunity to put a lot of pressure without exposing themselves too much to danger. I will admit that LaDin has not called in another squad of tank hunter partisans, and I was kind of surprised by that. I think I just pop one in this house right now and have a couple shots coming out from that AT power. Unfortunately for them, that's not happening. We do see instead that these combat engineers are being forced away, as is a squad of grenadiers by these close-range PPS fire. It's going to just wreck anything that gets anywhere near it. But all right. So what do we got? 437 to 371. We do see that the German cap in the middle is going to get called off, and we do see again that these conscripts are going to get forced into this pit of death. And although that mortar does open up on this house, there's more than enough health for the house to kind of not worry too much. And there's 3 squads over here. While we might see an incendiary grenade on the house, I would be very concerned about how things are going to work out. Oh, never mind. That machine gun falls away. And the Soviets again have their own bulge happening in the middle of the map. Whew. Squad and army size over here is fairly equal, and I'm surprised to see that Sober has not called in any kind of commander just yet. He does know that LaDin has called in that Soviet reserve force, so what would I pick out of this? Mobile defense, probably not a great idea. With infantry, it might be better to have, It's not a great idea, but maybe Lightning War Doctrine might be the best way he should be going about this. LaDin is not going to be worried too much about calling in a lot of late-game armor firepower. So the addition of not the Tiger tank, but at least maybe the G-43s might be able to offset some of the PPS fire that he's been taking this entire map. And with these grenadiers now be set up here in the north, we might see another squad drop, and maybe even, oh no, we're going to see a squad drop, considering how much fire is going to put on them. Check this out. 1, and firing nearly 600 cyclical rounds per minute. I'm surprised. Oh wow, good lord, might he make it out? And Hans has proven himself way more resilient than I figured. Even as his Panzer IV comes out, this might be the time to push the tempo a little bit more. Especially considering the very, very, very low level of AT fire currently held by our Soviet player. Panzer Grenadiers, by the same time, are being brought in really close to kind of try to pick on these Soviets and take a ton of losses themselves. But this 222 comes in, maybe even might be able to pick up these Soviet partisans. We do see this big Ram-Lam-Ham dam down the middle. And although another anti-vehicle grenade comes out, it does force away a good portion of those Soviet forces. Well, luckily for them, I will say that a Zis gun has now been deployed in the field, which means that those German vehicles might need to be a little bit more circumspect with how they kind of approach things. Cost right now 415 to 369. Taking a look at the strategic map. Again, we do see this kind of east-west divide, which is kind of funny when you think about it. You think, hey, cool, this is just like World War II all over again. Except that in this particular case, these kind of cutoffs are not coming from the Germans, they come from the Soviets. And this squad here in the middle better needs to retreat pretty darn quick. Might even drop a second model. Nope, never mind, we're okay. But okay, so where does that leave us right now? We see 2 fairly damaged German vehicles. My guess is that we're going to see Pyro squads repairing on both of those. Oh, no, we don't. We only have 1 Pyro squad still out there, don't we? So we dropped that other Flamer squad when that T-80 came out. T-70, good lord, what's wrong with me today? Alright, and of course, that's a great idea to bring this disc gun over here to the center part of this field. Maybe drop a mine or 2 down this left-hand side to kind of ward that western flank. But the just base of fire that's going to be in the center part of this field is going to be way too much for most of these Germans to take. As you can see, these Panzer Grenadiers are already taking losses. They might be able to pick up that... Will they be able to? Nope, never mind. That 1 conscript, the sole conscript squad makes it away. Luckily for them. And do we actually see, yes we do, we do see a full mechanized armor company coming out for the Soviet player, and for the Germans, do we actually see anything else coming out? Yes we do, we have a full, nope, never mind, think about this for a second, good lord, try this again. Support armor core, oh no, but instead, what are coming out? We see an Su-85 coming out. So this Panzer IV's days might be numbered. The Su-85 is definitely going to be an issue. And wisely, we do see, as this machine gun does get dropped inside the church, we see the smoke coming out, and it doesn't matter whose side you're on, God cannot look through smoke. Which make lives a little bit easier for those Germans in the center part of the field. Whew. So where does that leave us again? So guys, yeah, we have a lot of fire going on, a lot of meeting engagements. Not so much great for the German player. Might actually see this MG42 squad get wrecked quite a bit unless this Panzer IV can return. It's pretty close. They got in there just in time and running back through the, oh yes, that S minefield just tearing through those unfortunate Soviets. But like I said, we are back now to a 2-to-1 cap, 415 to 364, about 21 minutes into this game, and I would like to see, I think, maybe a tech up from Sober here. It might be a little bit expensive for him at the moment. No, it should be more than enough for him to do, and really not a big point. And ouch. Ouch, let me tell you. Ouch, those poor grenadiers. Just suffering, running into a mine, just taking huge losses. And although we do see the Soviets kind of concentrating their forces in the middle here, even more so actually with this Su-85 poking up an excellent idea, we now have both the Zisgun and the Su-85 printers locking down the western part of this map. Panzer IV's going to have to be very, very careful about how it kind of approaches this particular situation. Oof, and already the Su-85 beating on that Panzer IV, but in return that Pak-40 says, hey bro, nobody picks on my big brother. And definitely putting some fire onto that. I'm not sure this is a great idea to shift that Panzer IV in too much, so you better back that off, man. And even more so, this might be, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a dead Panzer IV. That AT, ooh, and misses just short. But that's this gun doesn't. I was going to say it might be a better idea to not be too aggressive about that. And we do see a loss coming through for Sober's forces, which at this moment might be kind of an issue. At the short-range firepower of these conscripts is just going to rip bloody holes through the German ranks. Now, is there still a telemine over here? No, this is a TM-35 mine, so this eastern part of the map is even worse for armored vehicles, especially the way that they are right now, the German player. And while we do see fairly good unit preservation for our, not Soviet player, what am I thinking about? Yes, no, for our Soviet player, we do see fairly good unit preservation. The German one has been a little bit harsher. We do see a couple of top-tier veterancy squads, but those vehicles have not been doing particularly well. And although we see a goodly number of troops on both sides, the army sizes are fairly equal, the death of that Panzer IV might tip things heavily in the balance for our Soviet player. But as you can see at the same time, those Germans are not giving up hope yet. They are still, for some reason, actually calling in these sneaky little kind of like spoiling caps right back here to kind of cut into... Where are we? There we go. These spoiling attacks to kind of cut into the Soviet supply lines. Not going to be too much. And we do see Sober finally calling in that lightning war doctrine, though he's floating a fair amount of manpower right now, as well as a fair amount of fuel. I'm not sure I particularly like this. I probably would have called maybe another Panzer IV already, even though it would not be so great against the Su-85, the AT gun. It's going to give you a fair amount of mobility, and against the current level of infantry for the Soviets, it might be way better for them in the long run. But yes, this MG42 is going to be pretty well set, to beat on this Zisgun. I'm not entirely sure why the Zisgun is taking as much fire as it is, but with the addition of these G43s over here to the east, we might see a little bit more pressure on these conscripts, although I'm not sure I really put these Pioneers so close. So you can see right now they're already dropping models, and they're running down a negative cover opportunity right now. So yeah, they're taking just needless losses right now. Oh, yeah. 411 to 320, we do see a 2-to-1 cap in favor of the Soviets. It's going to be a trip cap coming up pretty soon, as the Soviets are going to pick up that western side. And I continue to wonder what Sober's been doing over here. He definitely should be utilizing his resources a little bit better than he has been. Tons and tons of opportunities for this. Was he just waiting on this, maybe? No. Couldn't be. Maybe he is. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's waiting another minute or two just to pick up that Tiger tank. Put a ton of firepower on the field. But I would think, I would like to think, even so, even as he drops another squad down here, that he is going to go and actually instead get some more squads in the map in the meantime. You can hear Sober saying that right now. Duh, should have been paying attention to that one. And we do finally see another squad of Panzer Grenadiers coming back out in the map, but that might be too little too late in terms of its infantry, infantry combat. See, 1, 2, 3 fully vetted squads, another 3 that are almost fully vetted, and with these PPSs, yeah, there's got to be a lot more active opportunity for the German player before he can really kind of tilt this back into his favor. I would also say get this Pack 40 out of negative cover. There we go, back in good cover again. And this 222, I know that the 222 has pretty much lost its not say ability to really affect the game, but it might be fairly fair to say that. Oof, but then again, these conscripts are going to run right back through this S minefield, and he drops a squad. Beautiful. Beautiful. And that's, I'll say, watch this mortar kind of rain fire and destroy the other minefields. And I am surprised to see that this Su-85 has not actually gone and, how do I put this, been repaired by anybody. These combat engineers have more than enough opportunity to do it. And as I say that, of course, yep, I was right eventually. Sober is bringing in that Tiger tank, which is going to give him a lot of short-term firepower, but even against this infantry fight, I would have liked to see a little more active participation by armored vehicles, or at least seeing a lot more active participation from some more infantry. And with the not inconsiderable amount of AT opportunities from the Soviet player, with the level of munitions that they have, as well as that Ziscon and the opportunity for AT partisans that should be coming out of the woodwork every 3 seconds, in my mind, it might have been better to go a little bit more into a strictly anti-infantry opportunity. But that is not happening. No, that is not happening at all. Instead, we do see that Tiger tank coming out, and this map itself is just going back into, again, almost a 50-50. We do see an expansion coming over here on the right-hand, excuse me, on the left-hand side. But I do not know if that's a great idea just yet. We do see a Katyusha coming out for LaDin. And I do think that Sober is missing an opportunity to kind of press and kind of seize more of this map right now. Of course, easy for me to say with God Vision as commentator, but yeah, I will say that right now Sober's playing a little bit too cautiously, which is very at odds with what I've seen this guy play in the past. While I am thinking about it, yes, guys, this actually is a top 100 match from both sides. Both guys are very, very good players, but maybe what happened here is just that right now Sober is just being a little bit too cautious. Fair under the circumstances, but with an army advantage, I'm surprised he's not moving forward a little more aggressively. Not so much to this pack gun. Where's that pack gun now, finally? Oh, it's covering the western road. So I understand why he's doing that, but at the same time, I think it might be better for him to be a little more active on this eastern side, which is exactly why we're bringing in the great Big Daddy Tiger tank right here. And good lord, did he drop that MG42? Yes, he did. When did he drop that? Must have been quite a while ago. The AT partisans are pretending they're going to go actually pick up this munitions point, and I'll not be surprised to see if this gets picked up by the Tiger moving forward. One more round. Oof, and it does pick up those AT partisans and just rips a bloody, bloody hole in the Soviet ranks. And as I was saying before, the unit preservation, Soviets have now dropped 2 or 3 squads in not too long a time. I am surprised to see that this Katyusha has not already been called in its first round. But then again, neither has been seen as far as I understand it. So, yeah, Sober is definitely, it's actually in better shape than I've been giving him credit for. I will apologize for that. He's got the army size. He's got not so much a tech advantage because obviously at this point, basically both guys are on the same level here. And even unit composition isn't too bad either. I will say the longer range firepower of the Grenadiers is great until these conscripts get nice and close. And at this point, just watch. Here's an example right now of this. Just watch the health bars melt for the Germans. And we do actually hear that Katyusha coming in. Where is that fire coming in? Oh, he has just gone to pick on that poor squad of Grenadiers, force them back, and definitely get them to try to heal. And we see these Grenadiers again. Watch these guys. These guys might get picked on a little bit. Getting shredded. And they are forced away. 265 to 320, a 2-to-1 cap in favor of those Russians. This Su-85 now has been pretty much all the way rebuilt. Been repaired, excuse me. Kind of gets called back into the center over here, as well as this Su-76. Excuse me. This gun, Su-76, is a very different thing altogether. Not sure what's wrong with me today, guys. Definitely been a long day already, so forgive me on that one. And we do see some more infantry is finally getting called in for Sober. We see that manpower float that he had before is finally getting redone. And I'd be too focused on that instead. Instead, he's going to be a little more focused on actually getting some squads out on the field, which is exactly what he needs right now. And dropping some veterancy quite a bit. We do see a lot more vanilla guys here than we really should be. And this Maxim is starting to have its way with these Panzer Grenadiers over here to the east. But the 222 might have something to say about that, but then again, that Su-85 might have even more to say about that. Oh, good lord. This might be the death of the 222 finally, even as it picks up another star of veterancy. Up, maybe retreat, my friend. Okay, not sure why that Tiger decided to fire at that building. Instead, it should be picking on that Su-85. And short of a minor miracle, this might be the death of the Su-85. Ooh, instead we actually see fire being put on that Maxim machine gun, which in the short term is probably a better opportunity. Although it does give the time for the Su-85 to kind of put fire again in return. And with that MG42 taking a lot of heat, it does give the Soviets time to kind of take away that left VP, getting again a 2-0 cap in favor of the Soviets. 252 to 320. And I'm not sure if what's going to happen. If maybe what's going to happen is you'll see a Panzerfaust coming out. I'm not so sure. I am not so sure. Oh, no, we do. So we damaged engine on for that Su-85. Maybe finally having that Tiger tank actually move in. Nope, never mind. Never mind. The Katyusha at the same time, maybe setting up over here. No, I'm surprised actually we haven't actually seen a secondary volley coming over here. We have seen a lot of German play in the middle. And even a scattered volley to kind of break things up a little bit would be an excellent opportunity for those Soviets. But where is the state of the game right now? We do see that PM-41 mortar being moved in and taking a ton of fire. Oh, never mind. Here comes that volley after all. And we do see a fair amount of fire coming in, taking out that garrison finally, that kind of problem garrison for the Soviets all game. And that MG42 forced away. Whew. Whew. But meanwhile, we do see a massive chunk of LaDin's forces that we hear to the eastern side, and definitely kind of prowling around. And going to be picking on these Grenadiers in any second now. 2 fully vetted up squads as well as 1 minor squad. And without any support, these Grenadiers can be pulled back in fairly short order. Taking out at least probably another model. Negative cover. Yep, there's 1 model going down. Here comes that Tiger tank of the 222. So while that Su-85 is retreating away from play, and is he taking fire from that Ziscon? Yes, he is. That Ziscon is in range to put fire on that Tiger tank, which has not yet picked up, unfortunately, any kind of stars of veterancy, but is definitely asserting itself on this map. I would watch out from LaDin. He's got one of his fully vetted up squads of conscripts in this house, and basically 1 round could take them out quite significantly. And there he goes. He manages to lose them. Wow. Okay, so LaDin taking some unnecessary losses, I believe. And while these mortars over here are definitely exchanging fire back and forth, which is kind of adorable when you think about it. Oh, is in fact he's shooting at? Yes, he is. These mortars are just exchanging fire back and forth to reduce this meeting engagement over here on the eastern side. And these conscripts attempting so hard to run in here, but it actually puts them in range of the base MGs. And we will see a ton of damage going on, and probably pretty close to a mass retreat coming out of most of these forces. Though these concepts have found themselves nice and close to this MG42, they are unfortunately way too pinned to do anything about it. And if this 222 gets in its way, even this 222 taking fire from this Katyusha may not be enough. And as I say that, at the same time, that mortar squad has lost the duel. The mortar squads have definitely been exchanging fire back and forth. It's been kind of awesome when you think about it. And it has definitely allowed the German player to come back in this. I am impressed. The German good sober over here has been a little bit more unwieldy when you think about it. But at the same time, now LaDin definitely been suffering the micro curse, and now it's floating just as many resources as sober was before. So we'll not be surprised to see another tank come out here. Not entirely sure what that might be. Let's think about that for a second. What did we build? Another Katyusha? Nah, maybe a T-34-76 against the Panther? Or maybe... having the Zisk on array is already a great idea. So maybe what we do, drop another Zis in and maybe pick up another tank. Maybe that's a great idea. Instead, LaDin decides to pull up another Max. I'm not sure I necessarily agree with that one. And as the Soviets over here do pick up, are going to start capping out this Eastern VP, the Germans have managed to cut off that fuel for just even a couple seconds, which is definitely a good idea, if only that had happened several minutes earlier. Whew. It's rough. It has been a rough game, ladies and gentlemen. There has not too much unit. The unit preservation has been brutal on both sides. There have been a lot of opportunities for the Soviets to keep unit preservation as they are. But the unfortunate thing for them is that their play encourages them to be much more aggressive with the PPSs, as well as those quick setting up Maxims. At the same time, those Germans unfortunately have been wrecked. Not so much spanked, but definitely wrecked by a lot of fire. Of course, a lot of very, very unfortunate play has happened to beat on the German player. I'm expecting up there because of a retreat out from one squad of Strumpayos. And although the Tiger is there to continue putting pressure on this eastern side, the Su-85 is back in area to kind of pick on things. And where is that Katyusha coming in? Oh, wow. A lofting fire over here to this western side. I'm surprised to see that it has actually not done something a little more aggressively. Maybe to pick on that building. But instead, we do see this massive Soviet push coming through the middle as well as the eastern side. And although the squads of conscripts gets less and less, and that's still, yeah, Rapid Conscription, thank you. Rapid Conscription is getting popped pretty much on cooldown. It has not looked too healthy for those Soviet squads. Oh, wow. Wow. A lot of fire going on here. Entering the 37th minute of this game, just a couple of seconds here. 214 to 251. This MG42 is finally starting to assert itself on this other side over here, and this looks like it's going to be a walking Stuka coming out from Sober. And bizarrely enough, we do see a Molotov cocktail forcing away this MG42, as well as those PPSs just picking on that German player. Definitely an interesting idea coming out of Sober's forces. Let's do this real quick to kind of pull it up real quick. I always kind of forget how much it actually cost them. That's a Katyusha. What are we looking at? Here we go. Right here. Yeah. The expense, I might have been actually, in my mind, going for better to go for a secondary armored vehicle. Panzer formatted to support the Tiger tank. But, hey, Sober, that's your call, big guy. We do see the walking Stuka come out, the Panzerwerfer. At the same time, we do see the G43s coming over here at the same time to kind of pick on these conscripts that are just kind of soft retreating, and there goes the hard retreat going way back again. And I'm sorry, guys, apparently I missed the death of the Katyusha. Not sure when that happened. Forgive me on that one. But judging by its kind of relative death, maybe my guess is like a quick 1-2 punch of Panzerschrecks or something like that was going on. But okay, another one's coming out for LaDin, and probably could pick up another one even on top of that, another vehicle or something like that as well. Unfortunately for him, we do see Panzerwerfer coming in to probably wreck, and takes out that Maxim squad. And although this Pack 40 is going to get picked off, I just mark my words, these conscripts are not going to be able to do a whole lot with it, I don't think. I'm a little concerned actually with the way that they're kind of setting up for it. But all right. So this Su-85 is coming just and perfect to take a rear armor hit. And as you guys know, with tank destroyers are not made to take punishment. They are made to be low and slow and kind of pack a wallop. But their armor is not going to be good at all. And we definitely see that kind of coming through right now. That Tiger tank takes a couple hits and keeps on ticking. And that Su-85, not so much the other way. We also do see that this MG duel over here on the side of the map, which I always kind of love to watch, is going on quite a bit. We do see this Maxim kind of losing out. And where's that coming in? Oh, it's right around the center of the map to kind of force away these support weapons. We might see some losses coming out. Oof, that mortar takes a hefty hit. A hefty hit. And it does get away just in time. And I am surprised to say that that 222, which I derided so much earlier, is actually still alive. I mean, good lord, well done. I'm actually very impressed by that. I thought it was going to get picked up quite a long time ago. 7 kills, 2 stars of veterancy. How about this Tiger tank? It's going to slowly finally making its way towards that 1st star of veterancy, which could see it pick on a lot of troops here. And we do see a hard retreat coming out of the MG42, this western side. Luckily for them, it calls out just before he takes some a little bit more fire. And I am surprised to see as much usage coming out of Sober's base MG bunkers as there's been. Whew. Guys, I can barely talk right now. Give me a second to take a drink to kind of wet my whistle. But alright. The eastern part of this map is still purely in Soviet hands. It's like, this is like his own personal Stalingrad going on over here. I'm guessing here comes a Panzer Wehr attack right on the side. Yes, there does. Will it be another drop from another Maxim? Oof, it does not look like that's going to be the case. Instead, in fact, I don't think it really even hit anything. No health damage, no nothing. But this Tiger moving up might be picking on. This gun might be a good idea. Might be a good idea. No, he's not. He's just kind of waltzing through, and here comes a beat up on this poor Tiger tank. Yeah, guys, this might be a very, very sorely abused Tiger. But luckily for him, it is a death of an Su-85 first. At the same time, with the way that the LaDin has got munitions for days, he could just do like AT grenades left, right, and center, and these Panzer Grenadiers are going to get dropped out. Oof. They're going to drop a Panther Trek, which is not going to go necessarily to the Soviet forces, but at the same time, that is a very, very big investment to lose. Oh yeah, oh yeah. So here comes again another anti-vehicle grenade coming out on that 222, and find that Sysgun does come back in and asserts itself quite, effectively. And although this MG42 is a very, very interesting position, the negative cover is definitely working against it, and those Soviets have managed to force away an MG42 in close combat. And finally, my friends, we do see an Ostwind coming out, which is, in my mind, way overdue. Way overdue. Unfortunately, it is not really what my desires are. Instead, we've got Sober going on, as well as LaDin. And LaDin, like I said, has continued to use that rapid conscription pretty much on cooldown. And it just calls down fire on this mortar again. This mortar has been a very, very annoying mortar. And maybe with the death of this particular wall, it will limit the usefulness of that mortar a little bit more. But unluckily for those Soviets, that wall continues to stand, which means that that firing position for the mortar is going to continue to happen. But alright, so, oh no, we do see a Panzer Wehr attack right back in the center of the field, calling off that cap going on, but leaving the map still firmly in Soviet hands. I am surprised to see that this MG42 has not been trying to cap this victory point all day, every day. Then again, nope, never mind, that Maxim is the wrong way. Ah, and here's my best friend, the Ostwind, which is now going to take abuse from that way out in the open Sysgun. Okay, but it definitely announces its presence rather forcefully. And this MG42 right now, we might see another duel of machine guns, but it's not going to look good for that Maxim. It's like it might get picked off any second now. He's not pulling it back, and there goes another fully vetted squad. Oof. And that PPS spam has just been brutal. At the same time, though, we do see that Sober sees a second Su-85 coming in, but with the positioning of that Panzerfaust, while there has been abuse on that particular armor, it's not going to be quite enough to force it away. It's taking just a little bit of like a scratch in the paint just a wee bit. But yes, I mean, in the meantime, that mortar has gotten recruited a little bit time ago, picking up where those other friends kind of got left off. And is that stolen pack that happened a long time ago? Yes, that stolen pack continues to actually to survive. And I am surprised by that. I am very surprised by that. Now, the Soviets, in the meantime, are just going to take a little bit of abuse over here on the western side, even as they try to push back through the middle here again. And that MG42 again gets forced away. And here comes another Panzer Wehr attack right down the center. And neatly misses the center of the map. But it does actually stop that cap for still a little bit longer. At the same time, we do see that Pack 40 has been picked off. My guess is, yep, by that Flak Panzer. He's kind of run in and just abused things. And he comes in again to kind of pick on this mortar squad. He could, ooh, missed opportunity. I would have gone for that mortar squad a little more effectively. But yes, so where are we right now? We do see another squad of partisan tank hunters being called in. And although this Flak Panzer has been great, this AT attention is now going to mean the death of this flak panzer. I don't like this at all. There comes Su-85 as well as that Pack 40, and say goodnight to that poor flak panzer. One more round coming in. There we go. And the tank that could have been so much more effective has unfortunately dropped itself pretty darn quickly. And now, as you see, guys, we're moving to the last part of this particular map. We see trip cap for the Soviets, as well as, unfortunately, a very, very hard opportunity for the Germans to turn this around. This Panzerwerfer has not been the great death that it might have been otherwise, and these PPS play, as well as rapid conscription, has been quite brutal. If I had to go and actually kind of pick up a thing for Sober to kind of do in the meantime, I will say I really would have wished to see him invest a little bit more attention into early anti-infantry as opposed to waiting for that Tiger. An early flak panzer, yes. At the same time, while he would have been dealing with a Su-85, he would also not have to deal with... Where's that Panzerwerfer coming down? Up here to the north. He would not have to have been dealing with that PPS play quite so much, been giving a lot more pressure for LaDin and forcing him, how they call him, partisan tank hunters or something like that. But yes, guys, take a quick look back as the Germans has managed barely to take up 2 VPs on this map. Just the tail of the tape kind of tells it all, guys. You see all that red on the field. It just bleeds. It just bleeds red. And although there's a lot of very, very injured squads for the Russian player, there's also a lot of very, very veteran squads for the Russian player, and this increasingly kind of beaten up German forces on the field. We do see, interesting enough, we see a Maxim over here for the Germans who are kind of like, bro, this thing's an antique. Why am I still using this? It's 30 years later. Good God, what is wrong with me? And unfortunately for that Maxim is now going to get abused in turn by those conscripts who are flanking around after this Maxim has been picking on their big brother. Or little brother, rather. Or maybe their middle brother. I'm not entirely sure how that works out for the Soviet player. I mean, all good Soviets are comrades, but are they our brothers? Even more so, even though there are 2 machine guns over here, we are going to see one machine gun be setting up in this negative cover. It's going to be used like crazy. So watch him drop at least 1 model, probably 2. And it's going to be the squad as well. The flak panzer comes over to kind of break the deadlock a little bit, but I am not too sure that's going to be able to do too well. Oh no, and that thing barely survives. Yeah, guys, it is just not looking good for the German. That might be, we are actually coming down to the end of this replay, so I'm guessing that the poor German over here does kind of drop off a little bit too much. This mortar, in the meantime, can kind of tell you how desperate this fire has been. The mortar's been called in to actually be a capping squad, and he unfortunately loses it. So now we have instead just 3 squads of machine guns as well as 1 grenadier, and one of those squads of machine guns is getting sorely abused, my friends, sorely abused. In the meantime, LaDin is sitting comfortably on, what is that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squads of conscripts, a barely alive Maxim squad, a combat engineers who have done not too much for this particular game, other than set a couple mines, as well as kind of keep that Su-85 and the Katyusha occasionally repaired. And although we do see, excuse me, a 2-to-1 cap and possibly even a trip cap for the Germans, this vehicle play is definitely going to cost them quite a bit. Surprisingly enough, this flak panzer makes it away without taking too much fire. Or is that coming up now right now? Oh, never mind. Here we go. And the second Katyusha on the field does go and start wailing on these grenadiers who are desperately trying to cap this VP one more time. And they managed to do that, but it's not going to be sitting there in their hands too long. Going into the 49th minute of this map, and we do see another MG42 coming out for Sober, trying to stem the tide of Soviet wave attacks. But a little bit too late. Even though another squad eventually does get dumped, it does leave us with a 75% highly vetted squads of conscripts, and that Ziscon right here is going to make mincemeat out of that flak panzer. As is that Su-85. Good lord, I might see the death of this poor flak panzer. One more round's going to do it. And there we go. And the second flak panzer does go down, which is very, very sad because it's been firing just so hardcore. And we just see Panzerwerfer coming down on this eastern side again. It's going to be a wipe at all. We see the abuse on these poor conscripts, as well as that Ziscon, but not too much is happening with that, unfortunately. And as you guys just heard, now we have another Su-85 on the field, and as we kind of take a look back at this map right now, we do see that the bulge has happened one more time. But even if you just keep trading out, maybe in like a 2-to-1 or even a 3-to-1 package, the Soviet player has the squads to just abuse the lack of mobility in this German player. So Sober, I'm sorry, my friend, it does look like it's going to be pretty hard cheese for you to swallow. But even with all of this firepower on the field, as you can tell over here, see, I dropped MG42, I dropped mortar. This conscript play has been very, very good. And although I was surprised to not see more partisan play, if I had to pick one thing to kind of say about this game, I would say that the much higher concentration on anti-infantry much, much sooner. And instead now we see a close-range Katyusha barrage, and now this thing has just a huge amount of support weapons just for the taking. Whenever those Soviets want to pick those up, it's like a buffet of machine guns. Because the last 3 rockets don't, pick up anything. And now the 2 Su-85s are like the Hammer brothers over here, definitely locking down that western part of the map, and desperately trying to get shots through that arch on that Tiger, but I am not too sure it's going to happen. And with what is coming down now, I can't think of this. Oh, Stuka. This thing, this has not been used at all. But Stuka support, we might see one Su-85 damaged a little bit, but I'm not sure it's going to be a death of quite of anything. Maybe it's kind of more like a petulant usage of the ability. Crew shocked over here on this Su-85, and meanwhile this Tiger is kind of clawing back, if ever so barely, taking out one US-85, but it might be too late for them. 2-to-1, 14-192. This Tiger has slipped around the other side and is going to go and pick on this conscript squad for a second. Excuse me. Combat engineers at the same time, not doing too much, going to try to scratch the paint a little bit on that Tiger. This Su-85, even more so, is trying to creep to get like a nice little deflection shot coming out of this house, but it does not look like it's going to happen. Instead, we're going to see this Su-85 getting picked on. Never mind. As this Tiger almost approaches that second star veterancy, I just want to see who wins this particular duel. And both guys are apparently just shocked into missing on both shots. But yes, guys, I do think that is too much. LaDin has called it out, and Sober is probably going to call it back in just a second. Thank you so much for tuning into this particular replay. If you like what you see, please kind of comment, like, and subscribe below. If you want to see your own game, let me know how I can do that for you. I'll be more than happy to kind of check that out, and maybe, yes, GG. And I would be more than happy to check that out for you. Post it on coh2.org/replays and give me a link, or you can also message it to me privately. First, let me know on the YouTube channel, and I will give you a nice little email to kind of send it to me, and I will make that a priority. I will review your game, and I'll be happy to put that up as well. But in the meantime, that's going to call it for us. Thank you much for tuning in, and hopefully I'll see you guys on next time. This is Commentator signing off. Take it easy.